Yeah, I mean, I think the whole exercise today was that every guy in camp got an opportunity to play pretty much equal minutes, and for us, it was just really, kind of an opportunity to get out there and play against another opponent, and sort of be able to test sort of the foundation pieces that we've been doing for what has been a pretty grueling and tough first week.
Yeah, BJ, just kind of looking at some of the partnerships that you were emphasizing, what did you see from I guess the starting group, and maybe what were some areas that stood out that you were encouraged about?
Yeah, so I think the partnerships is just kind of that first line, the back line, and the center midfielders, how well they can be connected. That was something that we're looking at, and then obviously I think there's some wide combinations on both sides, left and right, that we were looking at. And I think you saw across the board the groups that played were able to I would say create some decent goal scoring opportunities. I would say some of the final execution was a little bit off, but that's expected.
And then I wanted to ask about Charles Emile Brunet. I know you guys took him in the super draft a couple weeks ago. What did you see from his performance, and I guess what are kind of expectations or hopes for him in this preseason?
I thought he had a pretty bright performance in the minutes that he got. A brave player, a player that wanted to be on the ball. A player that can move the ball left and right, and I think plays at a fast tempo, which is a good thing. Really gets the ball off his foot and gets back on the ball. I think for Charles and for a lot of the guys in the camp, it's just about how well they can acclimate to our environment, the new players, and they're all competing here for opportunities.
Yeah, BJ, I was just what were your thoughts on having Christian Espinosa with Hani and Sam up top, and how do you expect that connection to take shape over the preseason?
I think when you look at the combination of the three of those guys, they bring different dynamics. Whether it's playing between the lines, running behind, being able to get service. So it's about creating the connection, kind of the chemistry between those three. But then at the same time, it's also making sure that we're well dialed in on the defensive side of the ball. Again, we've been touching in the beginning parts of that in the preseason, and had the opportunity to compete against Chicago today and work on some things.
What are the biggest things that you look for during an exhibition game, during training camp, from younger players, players who maybe are from Huntsville or from the Super Draft?
I mean, for me, it's are they able to take that information in and apply it in a game situation? I think that's the biggest hurdle for all of the players, and especially young players are you don't know what the opponent is going to do, so are you able to adjust and adapt in game, but staying inside the principles of how we want to play?
Yeah, BJ, just on a physical front, how ready are the players? Where are they physically in terms of the squad as a whole?
I mean, it's good. I think we've only had one player with injury. Ali Ka received an injury, but everybody else is healthy. I would say, the fitness component is getting there, but it's nowhere. I think intentionally, it's growing in the right direction. But we're not where we need to be in terms. We're not 90-minute fit for sure. But it's intentional that we're going to build through this preseason.
And then just, I mean, I don't think results are that big of a deal in preseason. I think everybody would agree with that. But can you take anything from the result, or is this pretty much just let's look at the performance and that's that?
No, I mean we don't. I mean, in this situation, we're not going to look at the result just because of the way different lineups are put out and everything. So for us, it's just more about setting clear objectives of what we've worked on in the first week, and then being clear with how we were going to evaluate in the game, which would be on certain objectives, a couple phases of play that we were focused on, and then we'll go back and evaluate how well we did on an individual level, a line level, and a team level.
Yeah, BJ, I know we've talked a lot about kind of shape and how you don't put a ton of emphasis on that so much as principles, but just for us who couldn't see the game, was it kind of set up in the same 4-2-2-2 that you used a lot last year? Were there any tweaks to that?
No, Ben, that was our base. So again, first game we kind of came out in our base and then worked on little ways of maybe adapting that shape through the run of play, but that was the base shape.